South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.
I am notorious slash unfortunately famous for shooting things in real. I try and stay away from CGI as much as I can. The choppers and the explosions and the stunts and the action, nothing is VFX. The only actor who told me whenever you call, I'm there, is Mr. Mohanlal. Very close with my mom's side of the family. My mom used to take him to school. He became this superstar, this phenomenon that Malayalam cinema produced, and the relationship has been there forever. He calls me Mone, which is literally means son. You know, so when we are sitting and chatting, he'll be Mone, and all he'll be chatting. And the moment an assistant comes and says that the shot is set, and he'll walk to the other side of the camera, he immediately switches to sir. And then you say cut, and then he's again back to cracking jokes that I can't talk about here.
Are you somewhere deep down expecting like a big award for that?
No. So I don't expect anything. Whatever that film, whatever I was expecting of that film, I've already gotten it.
There was a poster that you guys launched, okay, of L2, and internet broke because they were guessing who that person is.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it Mammootty sir? Is it Basil Joseph? Or is it Fahad?
I could tell you, but then I had to kill you. And I met Subhaskaran sir, and we were having lunch together, and I sort of fixed this idea in my mind that I wanted to do with Rajni sir, which is actually an adaptation of an idea that I developed when someone else reached out to me to direct a Hindi film, which I wanted to pitch to Shah Rukh sir. I hope sometime it happens.
From being an object of desire in Ayya to desiring for life, food and survival in Adu Jivitam, I feel he's one of the finest actors that this country has ever produced. And I hope, and I told him this, and I pray that this year he gets the national award. Well, now he's actually a filmmaker too. He said he called himself a part-time director. Doesn't seem like from the teaser of L2 Empuraan. Joining me for a conversation on Galatta India is Prithviraj sir. Hello, how are you, sir?
Very well. Thank you so much for all the words. How are you?
Sir, I am good. I am feeling so happy. I am feeling full because we've eaten a lot in Kochi today.
Oh, good. Okay. I hope Kerala is treating you well.
I love Kerala.
Yeah, okay.
And we went out shopping and all of that. But are you expecting, before I come to this, I've been messaging you because when the film dropped, you know, on OTT platform, everybody watched it and the reactions were crazy for Adu Jivitam as well. It's one of the best films that was made last year critically. And the commercial success, of course, adds to that. Are you somewhere deep down expecting like a big award for that?
No.
Why? Why do you say this? Yesterday, Mohanlal sir said that you don't consider yourself a big filmmaker. Why do you do this to yourself? Why?
Disappointment only happens when you expect. So I don't expect anything. Whatever that film, whatever I was expecting of that film, I've already gotten it. You know, my biggest hope for that film was that we are able to make it the way it should be made. We did that. I was really hoping that people resonate with it. People did across the world. It is one of Malayalam cinema's biggest ever hits.
Yes.
I was secretly hoping that people like my portrayal of Najib. People have liked my portrayal of Najib.
Loved.
Yeah. End of story. Now I've moved on. So,
you know, last time when we met, we had spoken about Empuraan, and you had said that there'll be a time when I'll be able to speak about it in more details. And I remember that Murli Gopi sir had actually sent you that video bite when we did that show.
Yes.
Now going back to that, you know, Empuraan, when you did Lucifer, the whole structure was not there in between Hindi films and the whole, like there was still a divide, okay? Yeah. Especially I was just discussing with Mohanlal sir as well, that when we speak about pan-India films, back then it was only about Hindi films and possibly Telugu films. There was not really much of any other regional films being celebrated to that extent. Today, if you see last year, some of the biggest films that hit box office wise, even from the Hindi circuit, were actually Malayalam films. So does that give you hope that with this film, it is going to be bigger because the structure is also much bigger?
No, we sure hope so. We hope that this film finds resonance across the country, across the world. You're right. When Lucifer released, we were still coming to terms with our theatrical markets beginning to expand and all that. In fact, it was with Lucifer that overseas markets especially took a sort of a, a proliferation in exponential terms.
Absolutely.
So right now, I think this film sort of subconsciously, accidentally coincides with that phenomenon in a very nice way, because this is a very honest progression of the narrative that we had in place for 3 films of the franchise,
Yeah.
even back in 2017.
Yeah.
But as it so happens, the second part of the franchise is very much national in its scape and also international in
Absolutely.
how the story happens and travels. In fact, about 35% of the film is in Hindi.
And you've actually retained the Hindi dialogue in all the language teasers that I saw yesterday.
That's just for my character.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are many more characters, and a significant portion of the film that happens
Has been shot in
in
Hindi.
Hindi. And I'm going to retain that as Hindi in all 5 versions of the film. I have to tell you that when you walk into the theater to watch Empuraan for the first 20-25 minutes, it will seem like you're watching a Hindi film. But it'll come to Kerala, it'll come to Malayalam, it'll go back to Hindi, then it'll go to London. So it's a
Mix of everything.
yeah. So it's not a deliberate design. That's how the story actually organically progressed. So this film having that quality, coinciding with this whole now the release is becoming so wide, I think is a genuinely good opportunity for us, and I hope people like what they see. It's a very ambitious film. I'm assuming this is not the kind of cinema that someone in the north, a cinephile in the north, usually associates Malayalam cinema with. So maybe look at it as our shot at holding our own, in the world of big ticket, big scale commercial entertainers.
I think people who you just referred to, they are also waiting for this to happen. I watched this movie, it's Kadhal, is it how it's pronounced, with Mammootty sir? Kadhal.
Yes.
What a brilliant film, right?
Absolutely.
There are very few superstars from any other language actually trying out content like this, you know. They're doing big ticket, hyper heroic films and performances, but not these things which are coming from Malayalam cinema. So, of course, why not? Why can't we have a hyper heroism kind of a film as well? But you have apparently said this in many interviews that this is a very small film. This is not that big film. You've always said it, and then there have been conversations on social media where you've called your producer and said that I need these many helicopters. So please tell us, why would you do that?
So I understand the whole hype around the follow-up film to a very iconic blockbuster. I understand that, but I try my best to always maintain that this is just any other mainstream film. Only give it that much thought, because I want you to go to the theaters with an open mind and see the film. I always say that there's absolutely no point in me sitting here today and telling you, actually, this is what the film is about. Actually, this is what the film is. What you see and you get from the film is what the film is about. That there's no other.
That's true.
Yeah, there's no other argument to it. And I am notorious / unfortunately famous for shooting things in real. Okay, for all my films. So with the scale and the canvas and the sequences in this film, when we initially set out with the narration, I think the producers thought he's actually meaning a film which is going to be almost 80% shot inside a studio floor against green screens. And then, we do that. And then I say, not really. We are going to be traveling to all these countries and shooting all of them for real. And I try and stay away from CGI as much as I can.
Yeah.
That's not to say that there is no CGI. There is extensive CGI in the film. But I try and capture as much as I can in real.
Yeah.
So everything you see in this, the choppers and the explosions and the stunts and the action, nothing is VFX.
And you have actually shot it over 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I only shot the film for 145 days,
over 3 years.
Which, in fact, we planned the film. My initial chart, which I still have a copy on my mobile phone, is 173 days. So we actually undercut that number of days by a good margin. But we shot it across 2 years. I started in 2023 October, and we finished in 2024 November, I think so. Yeah. So I shot it across 1 year and a couple of months, but only for 145 days, because we had to travel across so many different countries and so many different places, even within India. It was quite difficult to be adjusting our shooting schedules with the availability of artists. The only actor who told me, whenever you call, I'm there, is Mr. Mohanlal. So,
I want to ask you, when you speak about Mohanlal sir, you've met him as a child also, right?
Yeah.
You've grown up knowing him as somebody who's been very fond of your father as well.
Yeah.
So when you're directing him, you also have this uncle-like figure and a superstar-like figure, and then you're the director also. Then you have to say like, no, maybe you should do it this way. How do you balance it out? Are there days when you find it difficult because of his stature?
So, in fact, Mohanlal sir's relationship with my family goes back even more. It's with my mother's side of the family, actually. My mom used to take him to school.
Oh,
Yeah, so he's very close with my mom's side of the family. Still is very close. And then he became this superstar, this phenomenon that Malayalam cinema produced, and the relationship has been there forever. And then he's worked with my dad, and I've seen him from a very young age. But the greatest thing about Mohanlal sir is that when he's on set, of course he knows me. So I've said this many times. He calls me Mone, which is literally means son. So when we are sitting and chatting, he'll be Mone and all. He'll be chatting, and the moment an assistant comes and says, "Oh, the shot is set," and he'll walk to the other side of the camera, he immediately switches to sir, and it'll be like, "Sir, what do you want me to do?" I remember the first day of shoot of Lucifer Part 1. He came in and asked me this. I was sitting by the monitor with the shot setup. He came in and asked me, "Sir, what would you like me to do?" And I'm like, "Sir, you read the scene?" I said, "Yeah, I read the scene." I said, "So this is a shot. You're sitting there and the camera is going to come to you. Okay, but what would you like me to do?" And I realized that is his process. He actually wants to really listen to what the director wants.
yeah, director's actor.
Yeah, and that is such a joy. And me being an actor myself, I know that is priceless for an actor. That's what I look for from my directors. For my directors to come and clearly tell me, this is what I want. So then I can bring my actor's interpretation part into his vision. And he's such a joy to work with that you tend to forget that he is this mighty superstar, or the fact that he's seen you grow up. You tend to forget all that. It just becomes such a professional equation. And then you say cut, and then he's again back to cracking jokes that I can't talk about here.
But you have got like so many actors together, right?
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing. Like we were also discussing in the other room that it is very difficult to get so many actors from a Hindi film industry or maybe other film industries together in one film. And there are so many films that have not gotten made. Many directors have come and spoken about so many films that have 2 hero films also not getting made because of insecurities. How do you manage to do that? As an actor, you've done those films.
Yeah.
And as a director, you've managed to get all these actors in one film.
I just think that we are blessed with a heritage and with a practice that these legends have set, that everything depends on the script. I was just answering another question to another friend from the media where I'm not a big believer in the narrative that Malayalam cinema is superior and all that. I don't think so. We are going through a great phase. I don't deny that. But great films are being made everywhere. And there is also, not too long ago, I can very clearly remember us sitting here and thinking, man, how is Hindi cinema doing this? When Anurag and Vikramaditya and all of them burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
I remember all of us sitting and thinking, man, how are they able to write these? How are they making this? That was not too long ago.
Yeah.
So it's not like, we are superior or anything. We are going through a good phase. But if there is one thing that I'd like maybe other industries to look at and observe closely in Malayalam cinema, is the fact that we still treat writers as the cornerstone of our industry. I don't know if there is another industry where writers are the ones putting together projects, including Lucifer. It is a writer who pitched an idea to me that he wanted, that he's wrote with Mohanlal in mind, and asked me if I would direct it. And it is a writer who then calls Mohanlal sir and asks him, Prithvi would like to direct this. Would you be okay with that? So the writers are the ones holding the power. And I think that is a very, very important lesson to take away. That is how we look at writing. That is how we look at what is written on paper.
Yeah.
Because of that, I don't need to convince anyone. I just need to tell them this is the film, this is the character. And every actor worth his or her salt will know if this is worth doing or not.
Absolutely.
But then there are also big favors being done. Like when I'm shooting a film like this, someone like a Tovino, who's like a brother to me, I'm pulling him out of these big ticket films that he's doing as a main lead. And I'm telling, I need you for 2 days in New Orleans. And the poor boy has to now take a flight from somewhere and land here and then take a flight from there to New York and then come to New Orleans and shoot for 3 hours and then fly back. They do that for me because of the relationship.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're in the film is because of what is written. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel relationships have always been the crux of anything in the industries, any industries that work on art, right? Today that's dying a little bit. That's a conversation even I've had with people. Like
Yeah.
when I started off as a journalist, the relationship that actors had with journalists is not the same.
Yeah.
But the problem is the generalization that has happened, that every journalist is going to be the same, every actor is going to be the same, which is why I connect with you guys, because I feel like, yes, you're right. Like relationships के ऊपर जब होता है ना, तो लगता है कि it will always happen for the right reasons, you know.
See, like yesterday, Mammootty sir came in person
Yes.
to launch the teaser of my film. He was supposed to be somewhere else that I know personally. It was a very close family member's wedding.
Yeah.
And he actually was late for that wedding. But unfortunately, we could not push the teaser time
Yeah.
because of various reasons. But he still made it a point to come. That's only for the relationship.
Yeah.
That's only because he shares a very deep bond with Mohanlal sir. And he also looks at me that way. And even for Lucifer 1, it was Mammootty sir who launched the teaser. And
Yes.
everything. Yeah, so when I did Janaganamana, the film, I was that time shooting in Jordan, sorry, in Algeria for Goat Life. I wanted the opening voiceover to be Mammootty sir's voice. I only called him. I called him from there. I first wouldn't, I said I won't ask him because I had asked so many favors from him. I won't ask him. I remember I called him and I said, I'm so sorry for having called you for this favor. And he's like, why would you feel sorry about calling me? And I was suddenly taken aback. And I'm like, I just shouldn't have said that. I just said, nothing. Can you do the voiceover? Yeah. And that was it. You know, so so we have that relationship with the
Absolutely.
industry. So yeah, I mean, I hope the industry thrives because of that. I hope forever we foster that. And I'm really looking forward to more and more multi-stars happening. There's a really exciting film happening where after a long time we are going to see the two big M's together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so good things are happening. Yeah.
But now that you've spoken about it, there was a poster that you guys launched, okay, of L2, and internet broke because they were guessing who that person is.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it Mammootty sir? Is it Basil Joseph? Or is it Fahad Fasil?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Is it one of the three?
No.
It's not one of the three.
No.
But
So I can tell you this much, that when we set out with the casting of this film, I reached out to my wish list, yeah, across the world. I reached out to my wish list and some really big names from the UK, from the US, really big names. And sometimes to my shock and sometimes to my pleasant surprise, most of them said, yeah, we'd like to explore this. Yeah. And I was like, wow. You know, and we've had to translate the script to a few other languages for those
For them to
for them
understand.
to read and all that. And we have sent it to them and they have said yes. And then the agents come in. Yeah. And the agents come in and we have already briefed them. Listen, this is an Indian film. Moreover, this is a Malayalam film. And the actors understand. The actors are like, yeah, we get it. And I'm asking them for like 4 days or 5 days. And the actors are like, no, then the agents come in. And then they sort of start strategizing. And you reach a point. And I reached a point where I knew that, okay, I have this much money to make the film with. Yeah, I would love so, and so. But if I'm going to go for that, then I have to make the film with what is remaining. Or I can let go of the wish list in terms of casting and cast actors that I think are suitable for it, not stars, and then go all out in making the film. That's what I've done. So don't expect like some earth-shatteringly big names and all that, but there are
cameos.
not cameos, there are characters.
There are characters.
Yeah.
Mammootty sir is there in the...
No, Mammootty sir is not there.
There's a story. I thought that is at least...
No, Mammootty sir is not there in this part of the franchise.
Okay, but I want to ask you this: that during the launch, you said that for this film, before you got Laika, right, to
Yes.
Malayalam cinema, but they had offered you a film to do, which you were supposed to direct Rajnikanth in it, and you
Yes.
couldn't.
Yeah.
Which film was that, and like why couldn't?
No, it's not like a witch film. So Laika reached out to me first, asking me if I would direct a film with Rajnikanth sir for them. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to. But unfortunately, that had to happen within a particular time period. And me being a part-time director, I don't
Not at all. You can't be.
I don't direct like one after the other. I direct once in a while. I'm not sitting on a bank of scripts
That's
that
true.
I wanted. Right? And I'm not. So I was in London and I met Subhaskaran sir. And we were having lunch together. And I sort of pitched this idea in my mind that I wanted to do with Rajni sir, which is actually an adaptation of an idea that I developed when someone else reached out to me to direct a Hindi film, which I wanted to pitch to Shah Rukh sir, actually.
I hope it happens.
It was actually, yeah. So, and Subhaskaran sir was really excited about the idea. But unfortunately, I didn't have time to develop it any further because I had to start shooting Goat Life. I had to start the second schedule of Goat Life. So that didn't happen, and that project had to happen within a specified time period. But what happened over the meeting was we had developed a relationship, and every time I'm in London, we sort of meet, and he's a really enterprising gentleman, very kind man,
Kind man,
and very ambitious and passionate about cinema. So that eventually led to them being co-producers on Empuraan, and so I hope sometime it happens.
Yeah, I hope someday you direct Shah Rukh Khan in that film that you want to, because you will be amazing. Finally, the last question would be that I know a few films that you are supposed to do. The first is, when is Salar 2 happening? Have you guys started?
So Prashant is just starting his film with Tarak. It's also a very exciting film. Once he finishes that, then Salar 2 will immediately follow.
There was a Dharma film once offered to you which you couldn't do. Now finally you're doing one, and the world knows it. So that is also being planned for a release this year sometime, right?
I hope so.
And there are two films that are of course being discussed everywhere. You are actually doing a film with Rajamouli sir, which is with Mahesh Babu. And the other film that I'm very excited is that I've heard that you're doing Meghna Gulzar's film with Kareena Kapoor.
So both these films, I mean, we've there are a lot of things to be confirmed and discussed and all that. Let's hope it works. Yeah.
But with Rajamouli sir, the whole idea of just working, if it happens.
Amazing. I mean, I am a huge fan. Who isn't a fan? I'm a huge fan. I've always sort of looked up to him as a filmmaker and also as a dreamer. Let's see. I hope it works. It's just a lot of things to sort of fall into place. Yeah.
I hope that you continue making films, you act in them as well as direct. Don't be a part-time director. You've directed one and acted in 4 or 5 films in that process. So why not? You are a fine talent that we have from India, and I hope that we keep having these conversations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for doing this.
South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.